Hello, this is Books of the Stock Market. How's everyone doing? As for me, it snowed at least 6 inches overnight. It is not that cold, but there's still snow everywhere. Other than that, I've been working my butt off at work because of a performance improvement plan that was assigned to me. The worst part of this plan is that I have to go to work every day now instead of only going like 3 times a week. I used to be able to stay at home at least 2 times a week, but now I have to go to work and work on my performance improvement plan. When I was working at home, I'll be able to edit and create my Wednesday videos, but now I really don't have time to work on my Wednesday videos during the week. With that out of the way, let's get into this week's video. This video is part 1 of a 2-part series on candlesticks. I've covered candlesticks before in a previous video, but these 2 videos will go into the details. We will start off by introducing candlesticks and then move our way into different candlestick patterns. So how do we read these weird boxes? The 2 boxes shown below are the 2 types of candlesticks. The green candlestick represents the price moving up, and the red candlestick represents price moving downwards. The green and red rectangles represent the body of the candlestick. The dashes above and below the body are called wicks. From here, this is where the similarities end. The opening price of a green candlestick is at the bottom of the body, the close of the green candlestick is at the top of the body, and the high of the day is the upper wick, while the low of the day is the lower wick. On the other hand, the open of the day on the red candlestick is at the top of the body, the close of the red candlestick is at the bottom of the body, the high of the day is once again the upper wick, while the low of the day is once again the lower wick. Candlesticks can also be categorized based on their shape. The next 2 slides will also be going over how to categorize candlesticks by how they look like. Long candlesticks are candlesticks that have a large difference between the open and closing prices. The opposite of a long candlestick is a short candlestick. Short candlesticks have a small difference between the open and closing prices. When categorizing candlesticks into long and short days, we do not take into account the wicks. The next type of candlestick are called spinning tops. Spinning tops have short bodies and long wicks. They represent days of indecision, as during the day price fluctuates, but price eventually settles near the open. This means that price has not changed greatly, and the market is unsure of where to go next. The final type of candlestick are called Doji Candles. Doji Candles are candlesticks that have the same open and close. The first type of Doji candlestick is called a long-legged Doji. This Doji has a long upper wick and lower wick. Using the same concept of spinning tops, they represent days of indecision as price was volatile during the day, but eventually remained unchanged at the end of the day. The second type of Doji candlestick is called a gravestone Doji. This Doji has a long upper wick and no lower wick. The longer the upper wick, the more bearish it is. The third type of Doji candlestick is called a dragonfly Doji. The dragonfly Doji is the opposite of the gravestone Doji as it has a longer lower wick but no upper wick. The longer the lower wick, the more bullish it is. The final type of Doji candlestick is called a 4-price Doji. This Doji represents a candlestick that has the same price for the open, close, lower and upper wicks. These are usually produced in pre-market or after hours when there's low action and maybe a single person bought during the period. Now that we know how to categorize candlesticks, let's get into how to read candlestick patterns. Candlestick patterns are based on psychological interpretations of candlesticks. Patterns can range from 1 candlestick to 5 candlesticks. Also, if a reversal pattern produces bullish predictions, then the inverse of that pattern produces bearish predictions. Likewise, if a continuation pattern produces bullish forecasts, then the inverse pattern produces a bearish forecast. Finally, patterns that work in both bullish and bearish situations will have the same name. However, even if I tell you how to read candlestick patterns, it will all be useless if you can't define the previous trend. For instance, you can't use a bullish reversal pattern in an uptrend and a bearish reversal pattern in a downtrend. Therefore, it is important to know what the previous trend is. To identify a previous trend, you could probably use moving averages. If you want to know how to identify the previous trend using moving averages, watch the 2 moving average videos that I've created. I'll link those 2 videos in the comment section below. With the introductions out of the way, let's get into our first reversal pattern. The dark cloud cover is a 2-day bearish reversal pattern. The first day is a long green candlestick. On the second day, price opens above the high of the previous day. Until now, everything is still bullish. However, at close, price decides to close below the midpoint of the first day's candlestick body. For instance, here we have our long green candlestick. On the second day, this long red candlestick is produced. It was produced because we opened higher than the high of the previous day, but closed lower than the midpoint of the previous day's candlestick. The opposite of a dark cloud cover is a piercing line pattern. Like the dark cloud cover, this is a 2-day bullish reversal pattern. On the first day, a long red candlestick is produced. On the second day, we open below the low of the previous day. At this point, this still represents a bearish price action as we made a lower low. However, price decides to close above the midpoint of the first day's candlestick body. To illustrate this scenario, we have our one long red candlestick on the first day. The second day produces a long green candlestick. This was produced because we opened lower than the low of the previous day, but moved higher and closed above the midpoint of the first day's candlestick body. A different set of reversal patterns are called the evening star and morning star. The evening star is a 3-day bearish reversal pattern. The first day produces a long green candlestick. On the second day, price gaps above the body of the first day. However, price doesn't move much from here as a short candlestick is formed. On the third day, we have price gap below the second candlestick and closes below the midpoint of the first day. To illustrate, this is our long green candlestick. We see that price gap above the first candlestick, however not much happens as price consolidates for a day. The third day produces a long red candlestick. Here we see we gap down below the second day's candlestick. Also, we close below the midpoint of the first candlestick. The morning star is the opposite of the evening star. It is a 3-day bullish reversal pattern. On the first day, we have a long red candlestick. On the second day, price gaps below the body of the second day and price consolidates. The third day produces a long green candlestick as price gaps above the second day's candlestick and closes above the midpoint of the first day. For instance, this is our first day's long red candlestick. Price gaps below the body of the second day and price consolidates, forming a short red candlestick. On the third day, we form a long green candlestick. This was formed by price gapping up and price closing above the midpoint of the first day's candlestick. Moving on from reversal patterns, let's look at continuation patterns. The first one we'll be looking at is called the rising 3 methods. This is a 5-day bullish continuation pattern. The first day is a long green candlestick. Between the second and the fourth day, we see 3 short candlesticks that form a downtrend. In the downtrend, they must stay within the range of the first day's long green candlestick. Also, 2 out of the 3 candlesticks must be red. On the 5th day, another green candlestick develops and makes a new all-time high. Here we see our first long green candlestick on day 1. We see our second red candlestick form on day 2. Another one is formed on the third day, and this candlestick is usually the one that is red or green. However, all 3 could be either red or green. On the 4th day, we continue downwards. The final candlestick is a long green candlestick, and we see that it closed above the range of the first green candlestick. Also, we can see that between the second and the 4th day, all the candlesticks was all within the range of the first green candlestick. The opposite of the rising 3 methods is the falling 3 methods. This is a 5-day bearish continuation pattern. On the first day, we have a long red candlestick. Between the second and the 4th day, 3 short candlesticks form an uptrend. In this uptrend, all 3 candlesticks must stay within the range of the first day's red candlestick. Also, 2 out of the 3 candlesticks need to be green candlesticks. The 5th day is when another long red candlestick is formed. This candlestick makes a new all-time low. Here we see our first long red candlestick. The second day, we see the start of our short uptrend. The third day continues this uptrend, and this candlestick is usually the candlestick that is red or green. However, all 3 could be either green or red. The 4th day continues the uptrend. The 5th day, we see a long red candlestick form. This candlestick creates a lower low. Once again, it is important to note that 3 candlesticks in the middle are within the range of the first candlestick. As with everything in technical analysis, we need to have some flexibility. For instance, the range defined in certain patterns can be within the body or within the wicks of the candlestick. Furthermore, continuation patterns can have more candlesticks in the period of consolidation. For example, a falling 3 methods can have 4 candlesticks forming an uptrend instead of 3. Also, many patterns ask for a candlestick to close above or below the midpoint, but sometimes it closes at the midpoint. Therefore, with all things in technical analysis, reading these patterns is very subjective. To conclude this video, candlestick patterns at the extremes of oscillators work especially well. Why does this happen? This happens because we know that price will eventually go back below to normal levels. All we need is a little stimulus, and if traders see a pattern forming, this usually is the catalyst to push things back below or above the extremes. It's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Well, that's it for this video. I hope everyone learned as much as I did reading a book, as that's the whole point of this channel. In this video, I introduced candlesticks and went over some reversal and continuation patterns. The next video will go over patterns at a much faster pace. Therefore, if you don't want to miss out on future content, subscribe to this video. If you enjoyed this video and felt like you learned something new, like this video as it really supports the channel. If you have any questions, leave a comment below and I'll try my best to answer all the questions. Well, this is Books of the Stock Market, and I'll see you guys next Wednesday at 3 p.m. Central Time. Thanks.